What's up everyone, this is ScherBR talking and welcome back to my channel. This is yet another review of a romancing festival banner. This time we have Witch's Daughter, that's exactly Dahao, Wicked Witch, that's exactly Evelyn, and Young Zenon, and also Kwai. These characters offer a lot of different mechanics and they will be good for people that miss plenty of different styles, but I don't know if they offer too much for veterans. We'll be talking about all of this in today's review, starting with Witch's Daughter. So, we have UDX Dahao that can inherit from Witch's Daughter. We have higher endurance this time, as you can see it here. We have higher agility, inferior intelligence, but there's a catch. Her will is pretty similar, the other status won't matter as much as you think. Well, let's click here so we can understand. We have 2 arrows for intelligence and 1 for will. When we compare to UDX Dahao, we already have 2 intelligence and 1 for agility. For passes, we have a Reinvigorate 1 intelligence. Every time that you attack, you get an intelligence buff and also recovers 1 BP. This is pretty nice and will be important from now on because Witch's Daughter can inherit a very good spell that costs 6 BP, so reducing the amount of time you need to recast really helps. Then the second pass is called Gentle Magic. On the start of a turn, in every turn, she has a high chance to increase her intelligence further. The increase will be the same as the first one, that is 15%, and she will also recover her own HP. So, pretty defensive, right? But double chances to increase her intelligence. One is a guarantee, and the other one is 37%. We also have Weak Tension. This one increases her damage by 15% and also 10% further if you are hitting a weak target. It's the only damage passive she has, reaching as much as 25%. One guarantee intelligence means that she's good for long fights. Getting BP back means that she can also just stack intelligence and unleash sometimes nukes, but she does kind of lack a very powerful nuke. And a chance to recover HP means that she does not need to be healed all the time. And she's also a healer, that's a surprise. Well, Aerodyne, it's a spell that was changed in Global. She didn't have this in JP and this makes her pretty good. The only character that has Aerodyne so far is Building, and she was meta in the game because of this. The first version of Building brings Aerodyne. So Aerodyne is a 3 BP spell that uses slash damage and also has a chance to debuff agility. And the good thing is that agility decreases the accuracy of martial arts attacks and also spells. So most of the time bosses have martial arts attacks and spells, so decreasing their accuracy allows us to evade. And she was used in many evade strategies. Okay, so now we have the same spell with a character that is actually better, has better status and everything. For Yuri to become good on this current meta, she needs her older styles, so that she will use Aerodyne with the future one instead of just sticking to the first one that's like 1 year old. But Witch's Daughter brings high enough intelligence right from the start, gets more intelligence during the fight, so she will never miss out her Aerodyne unless a very specific situation. Okay, the next spell is Healing Breath. This is a heal spell just like past spells we saw. There's nothing else besides just healing, but the power is okay with C15, meaning that her love is not that bad. She can heal for good volley, but I must say that you hardly ever want to heal with your debuffer. Your debuffer is there to just keep debuffing the targets unless there's a very special emergency and then you will need to heal. So that's why I don't think this changes too much when comparing to Building. Then we have Tailwind Storm. This is a fast attack with only B power that hits all enemies and gives morale up. But the morale up here is pretty small, it's only 15%, because characters already have damage passives. It's not a direct 15% increase in damage. But it still helps because it's fast, it goes first, increase damage of older allies, and she can get into a very good cycle. She can just keep using Aerodyne forever. Well, this was not the case with the first Dahao that has a very broken AoE cycle. 4 BP with her cheapest one and 13 with her strongest one. Although it's pretty strong, but well, it's just so hard to keep a good cycle with this first Dahao. So now you have a chance to inherit between the 2 styles depending on what you want. Supersonic is pretty powerful, and you can just get this one for long fights if you want, as an AoE nuke. But you will be missing is a single target nuke. Now I want to check on Building because Building really competes with Dahao now and from the future as well. Building is a very popular character, so she still gets another style in JP. This is the last one from Dahao, and she's very strong for nukes. With Trinity Blaster, if you have the 3rd version of Building, she can really help on overdrive. And she easily gets to 13 if you know what you're doing. You can skip 1 turn and you already have enough to use Trinity Blaster on overdrive. Whereas Dahao will only work well for AoE targets. Also, we have another fast attack with Beauty, although it does not buff morale. You can still do a good cycle if you have the second and first versions of Beauty, because the second one has Power Charge 3 and the first one gives the Rising Earth attack. So actually you have a cheaper investment on the HAL, having to invest on only 2 styles, whereas you can get a very good build of Beauty where you can just debuff Dexterity with 1 attack, and you can also debuff Agility with another attack. The next version of Beauty will get the same attack as this version of the HAL, that is this Heaven's Breeze. Heaven's Breeze debuffs 2 things, Agility and Dexterity. This can seem very nice, but let me tell you, most of the time, an enemy that uses Agility-based attacks will not use Dexterity ones. It's very specific occasions, like we had a dragon from floor 240 on War Tower, and he used Dexterity-based attacks and Agility-based attacks. You even need to debuff Intelligence, you need to buff 3 things on the same time. So in these occasions, this will work well. And because you now get 4 BP by each turn, it's not so hard to start well. But, like I said, future version of Beauty will also have access to this, and will also have +1 BP. So you don't need both characters, only one will be enough. If you need different stuff, you use different characters and not stack both Beauty and the HAL together. Maybe it works when bosses don't cleanse themselves, but it's hardly ever needed. So I suggest people summoning for Witch Daughter if they missed versions of Beauty and they want a character that will bring current status into current meta without having to pursue a very old style, even though it was in a recent banner. But for veterans, they really don't need to go for the HAL. If they want to go, it's just because of the character, the sprite art that I know people love. This character will still get a double S grade because she works pretty well. There's a lot of things here. There's agility debuff, there's hit cover, there's also a fast attack that increases damage of the party, and works even better if you have the UDX style to interchange spells and work for when you need better damage or better BP recovery. Now we have to Kwai. This character is pretty strange. He carries the Earth Elemental, but is actually doing slash and some damage. I don't understand why. We have double arrows for STR, 106% and +17. That means that it's pretty high, although cannot beat some of the strongest characters we have right now, since Gustav Banner. We have 82% for Endurance. It's not so high as a tank should have. But okay, Dexterity on 74 is average. Agility is pretty high on 92%, allowing her to even evade if you are using evasion strategies. We also have bonuses here, so it helps. Will is on 66%, so that means that she's not so good against magical attacks. She's made for physical and direct ones. Well, for passes we have Sword Prowess, that increases her damage by 20% when she uses swords. That's only a weapon that she can equip. And then there's Fortified Fortress, that gives her 37% chance to negate damage when she gets attacked. It's per hit, it's not like characters that get evasion stance. Then we have Hyper Overtension, increasing damage by 20% at all times. She also gets 35% when combo and 50% when overdrive. So 40% at all times and more when combo or overdrive. And a 37% chance to negate damage. Let's start with skill number 3, Hazy Moon. This is an AoE fast attack that deals slash and sun damage and gets her into a defensive counter stance. Body coast is already good enough even without the defensive counter stance, but if she gets attacked, she will receive damage unless she triggers Fortified Fortress, only 37% chance, and she will counter with triple S attack called Shining Slash. That's both slash and sun. This is pretty unique. We will get other attackers that will counter with slash, even Jen, it will be an off-banner character, so most people will have access to him, but for some we don't have. But there's a problem here. Most of the tanks that we have, they have good counter attacks, they will also recover BP by each time they counter, so that you will eventually just get BP to use the skill again. That's not the case here with Kwai. She will open with Hazy Moon, counter sometimes, and then to get back to Hazy Moon it will just take so much time. As a counter, she competes with Urpina, and it's also nice to compare her to Urpina because she also competes for damage. Well, UDX Urpina has Torrent. Every time that she counters with an AoE attack instead of single target, she gets 1 BP back, and she does not take damage. Whereas Kwai can receive damage 67% of the time. Also, Urpina has a very powerful single target nuke attack, and if you have the Christmas style, you already have an AoE slash and sun attack, with even higher power. And you also have Sun Flash to keep using it every new wave because she recovers VP. But all of her passives are kinda tied into having full HP. The good thing about Kwai is that she does not need that. Now, Hazy Moon as a damage attack will be good enough. Yes, won't beat Urpina, but can still be used for farming since she has skill number 1 called Flying Crescent. That's 3 BP. She can also use Slash and Sun for AoE targets, and she can keep using this forever. You can even place her on the front line and use her on a Tiger Shark formation for Zui, Coliseum, for Spiral. She will just counter when she has enough BP, or she will just keep using AoE. Now the second skill is called Luna Slash. This one you can just leave it on 6 if you want for a single target, then you increase Flying Crescent to 4, so she just keeps cycling for a single target attack. Or you can just leave this on 8 BP and forget about single target. Yes, it's again Slash and Sun, but for 6 BP you get an S power attack, but it has delay. So it's more about boss fights because it recovers her HP. It should be around 650 or something. So a tank that can recover is nice, but it does have to use BP to recover, and it's not on the counter attack itself. So we also have the colorful Annie, that's a Global X exclusive, and I do believe that using her may be more interesting since she becomes an evasion tank by herself and just keeps buffing her status too and recovering. So Kwai clashes with many styles, but does not mean that she's not good. It's just that, well, she won't offer something new for veterans. But if you are a new player, you get a lot of value from the character, and it does make it work. We'll also receive a double S grade in our tier list. The next character is Evelyn. We have 4 different versions of Evelyn, with one coming from story. Her S style is actually pretty good. For inheritance, then we have the first limited called the End of the Witch. There is Surrounded by Death, a platinum style, and for last we have All for Revenge. This is the Wicked Witch style. Well, all of them are interchangeable and we will inherit from each other. When we compare, the All for Revenge style, it has higher endurance for boss fights, dexterity does not matter, agility is the highest one so far, the intelligence is the highest one so far, but pretty similar to the first limited style as well. Her will is also pretty similar, does not make much difference, and the other status don't matter. So there's barely an upgrade over the last limited style. Okay, so we have 2 arrows for agility that will make her easier to farm agility, and 1 arrow for intelligence. You still need the first limited one for double arrows for intelligence. Well, the first passive we have is Magic Rhythm. This one, when you attack, you get a buff to intelligence by 20%. This is pretty nice, because she's kind of made for boss fights, so you can just keep increasing your damage as well, while you're increasing your chance to inflict status ailment. She's also a very good character for this. That can already be seen by her second passive called Paralyzes Poison Bridge. Every time that she attacks, she has a 25% chance to trigger 2 different passives, one that inflicts paralyze, another one that inflicts poison. Because her intelligence just keeps stacking, this 25% chance will be real. Even some enemies with small resistance will be able to be poisoned and paralyzed, but this makes more sense for tower than many other contents. We will have specific challenges where this will matter as well, but there are plenty of other styles that have high chances to inflicting paralyze or high chances to inflict poison, and even she can do that by her past style if you want. You can just use Poison Bog and inherit from her S style, so Freeze, that can inflict paralyze. But it will depend if you have a buffer to increase her intelligence so that she does not need to self-buff. Okay, and now we have the last passive called Hyper Overtension. This one increases her damage by 20%, and then 35 on combo and 50% on overdrive. That means that it's only 1 damage passive, 20% at all times. This Paralyzed Poison Breach is kind of overkill and, in my opinion, not necessary, and Magic Rhythm made for longer fights. Well, the first spell is called Shiro, 3 BP for an AoE shadow attack with very small power, only E and 8 mod, but it does bring a chance to the buff will. Remember, her intelligence is just so high that this chance becomes 100% chance most of the time. And the buffing will is pretty rare in this game. We do have some other options. We can also debuff Will by inheritance of her S style with Psycho Noise. If Psycho Noise uses 8 PP, it's just too much. Sometimes you just need to debuff Will for the first few turns so that you can enter status element like Paralyze or Petrify or Confusion. So this may be overkill again, yes. But I'm sure this will be more important in the future when bosses can just keep buffing their will, so you counterbalance by debuffing it even further. This one is the best will debuffer in the game right now. But something needs to be considered. Her Platinum style also has access to an AoE Shadow spell with will debuff. So, again, she's clashing, competing with one of her Platinum styles. They are not as good as her, but this offers some alternative. So you still have an option if you have the first Evelyn, you can inherit that skill for will debuff instead of Psycho Noise. One thing that we can also consider is that looking on JP right now, this is the cheapest AoE will debuff. There is this character that will also get it, it's a great sword user, so he will use our Sarwing weapon. Then we have the best version of Brownie, but she doesn't have enough intelligence. There will be a lot of versions that won't have enough intelligence and won't stack. And here we have the Platinum version of Evelyn alongside the upcoming version of Blue. So we have plenty of options. When we need, we don't need to stack it so much unless a very specific challenge. Then her second spell is Energy Storm Plus. This one is an amplified spell that deals B power 22 modifier. And let me tell you, it's nothing special. We'll get better amplifiers in the future. This spell here has no other effect and can at least be used twice in a row for the first limited Evelyn. Yeah, because she has Power Charge 3. So, not so good with her because she needs to skip one turn, but good with the past style. The last spell is Euthanize, an 8 PP spell that just does two things. Damage, double S damage with 47 power, that's pretty nice for 8 PP, and two effects. First one, debuffs the intelligence of the enemy by 20%. That's pretty nice already. But it also buffs your own intelligence by 30%. And we can use this twice with the first limited Evelyn. It's so good. And there is also Global X Rock Bouquet that has a combination of this. Let's just get it here with Psycho Boom, where she just uses Psycho Noise and after that she uses Euthanize. It's a better combination and she already starts with 12 BP, so from start she just debuffs more than Evelyn. This also just makes you wonder if you really need Wicked Witch besides will debuff, or if you already have the first one, you kinda already have access to most of the things that she offered. So, see, she's competing against herself. You will not have an Evelyn that's the best one to be used. You have to interchange between the situations, and sadly this version of her does not offer so much if you already have the Platinum in the first limited. If you don't, this one is a good idea for, well, will debuff and also for inheritances. Like we can inherit Ohor, a very good spell from her S style that can inflict confusion with high chance. It's pretty unique. You can still inherit Psycho Noise even if you cannot cast it twice, and there's also Soul Freeze, an AoE spell that's also pretty good. So another reason to use this Wicked Witch instead of the other ones. This one buffs intelligence all the time, does not require to hit a weak target like the Platinum style. Also, if you inherit the Shadow Bolt spell, it's only 2 BP for a medium chance to stun. Because she buffs her intelligence all the time, she becomes a very good stunner for the future if you miss it out on the premium ones like the Surfing and Yunjin. She is a replacement for Den. So I still think that this one deserves a double S grade on our tier list. It's good, but just not as good for veterans. Will offer more for those that miss it the past limited style. Now we need to talk about Zenon. That last one, this young Zenon called Dreams and Ambitions, is just the 6th version of Zenon. Well, we have two versions that are S styles. This one here was limited, call it Ausch Bloodline, and then this other one here, call it then Prison Marquis. You get it from Story. The first one was Platinum, the second one limited, third one another Platinum, and now we have the second limited Zenon. It's easy to collect versions of Zenon because there's only 2 limited ones. The S version was given out and it will return, and he has plenty of Pierce and Sun attacks. Well, comparing to his past styles, we have similar endurance, higher dexterity, but only 6 more than the Marquis No More. His agility is a little inferior when compared to Marquis No More. Intelligence is pretty high, and his will, it's a little inferior. The other status won't matter too much. Well, let's click on him. He has double arrows for dexterity and 1 arrow for agility. This makes his farming easier if you already have the other one, because this one has double arrows for agility. He likes both dexterity and agility for different reasons. So, young Zenon has plenty of damage passives, higher than the past Marquis No More, because Marquis No More was made for farming. He starts with 12 BP so that he can open with the inheritance Noble Cross. This Noble Cross will be amplified in the future as well, and then he just goes for AoE Light Needles. That's a 3 BP attack, so you can keep using. So, what does young Zenon offer? Better, stable damage. Warcry is a passive that increases all allies' pierce attacks by 5%, and all allies' stun damage by 5% too. So, it also gives him 10% increase in all his attacks that have both pierce and stun. The second one increases his damage by 20% when he equips Happiers, and he equips it all the time, so a stable 20% increase. He also has Hyper Overtension, yet another character with this passive, so in the end he gets 50% at all times when using attacks with both Pierce and Stun, and 45 when it's only Pierce. And if he gets a combo or Overdrive, he gets even more. So for 108% dexterity, that's pretty good. So for farming, he will just do plenty of damage and can be aligned with other damage dealers so that he can buff them too. But for boss fights, he does not self-buffs, but the other version of him did it too. So I don't think that Zenon is likely a very good character for boss fights, unless you want to bring him for something that is Light Speed Plus. Yes, this Light Speed Plus comes from his limited S style, and it just buffs agility with only 4 BP coast, meaning that you can stack so much agility that you enter evasion. And, well, this will save you. It's the best strategy we have in the game. So, the best agility is still coming from this one. Marquis No More has 95%, but won't have that much damage compared to the stable young Zenon that has lower agility but way bigger damage. And I do get a lot of good damage with the past version. I wonder how much this one will do. As for skills, we have Ominous Trust. This one is a very good attack. It's C powered 19, so it's just one step from becoming B, and it's critical against Undead and Demon. That's the same thing that Matriarch does. She has plenty of attacks that are critical against Undead and Demon, and they are also Pierce and Stun, so they will work well together. Then the second one is Word Ballet Plus. That's an 8 PP skill that can do B power 25 modifier. This is one of the best amplifiers for Pierce and work pretty well with Darky. With him, not so much. If you want to use Word Ballet 2 times, you will need his past limited style and someone that can give him +1 BP in order for it to work. But double B power in turn 1 and turn 2, it's actually pretty powerful if you manage to do that. But with young Zenon, you can only do it on turn 1 and on turn 3, or turn 2 and turn 3. Then the last one is Sparking Q. This one is a nuke attack with 10 BP. We have 3 to 4 hits with Pierce and Stun damage, the power 12 modifier. Well, 12 modifier is higher than the common multi-hits attack, so better. He already have high dexterity, very good passives, the damage will always be good. But he competes with other characters. First of all, he competes with Mikhail. Mikhail has a Global X style. There's one here that's pretty amazing. He has 99% dexterity, 99% agility, and he even buffs his dexterity and heals all the time. And, well, he has Quadruple Pierce. It's E power only, but it always hits 4 times with 9 BP coast only. And although it does have delay, it heals himself as well. So he just keeps buffing. He may not start as strong, but he just reaches the same potential and can even surpass and heal himself with lower coast, always 4 hits. So there is this competition for boss fights, but not for farming. This Zenon will do much more damage for farming, because turn 1 damage is higher. We have other characters that can do multi-hit attacks, but they don't come so close because they have multi-trust that hits between 2 to 4 instead of 3 to 4. And at least they can use it twice. That is Nadard and Minerva. They both can do it multi-trust. So if you have them, you still have a character that can hit strong with RNG. But for the Sun part, we should compare him to Blue. Blue has his Lunar New Year style with access to Waking Dragon. Waking Dragon is deep power as well, will hit between 3 to 5. So it can even surpass, even through the damage passes of Blue are not as good as Young Zenon. But because it has double elements, it's pretty nice. You just cover 2 bases for farming, and he can just keep using single target attacks for turn 2 and beyond. Even for raids, he works well because he gets pretty good and stable damage from start and will buff all people damage. And if you miss it, his past limited style, Lightspeed Plus can be game-changing sometimes. We have the limited Zenon, limited Mikhail, and limited Hilda. They are pretty powerful characters that can use Lightspeed Plus. You don't need 3 of them, but having at least 1 will be good. And especially if you miss it the past one, this one will do good. So, my final opinion on Zenon is that he's a character with stable damage. Sadly, he can't be easily outclassed. He brought a high intelligence to just use this attack here called Eulogy, but this one is 11 VP. So why increase his intelligence if he cannot use this on turn 1? But if he can use on turn 2 and there's a target that can be instant killed, he would just instant kill. But at that point, does he really need the instant kill? The damage is already triple S. I don't know. So we get a very good cycle of single target, not so much for AoE, but at least he can go with Sword Ballet and just inherit Light Needles even from a Platinum style. So in the end, he does offer some good value for those that miss Pierce and Sun damage. The Zenon will also receive a double S grade, but for people with access to many Pierce damage dealers, this is just a damage upgrade and he does not offer something new. So veterans can still skip if they want to save. Now back to banner image. Is this banner worth summoning for? In my opinion, proceed with caution. It's not to say that this is bad, because I will still give this a silver award. There are 4 good styles here that try to offer combined effects, but if you are a veteran and you already have Beauty 1 and 3, you don't really need Witch Daughter. If you don't have Beauty 1 and 3 and you don't have another agility debuffer, Witch Daughter is a very good pull, and she is good for the future since she self-buffs. Then I have Zenon with a very good power up Pierce and Sun damage. If you are missing out on those 2 things and you are a new player, he will offer. For old players, the Zenon just brings more damage without utility. Just passives for damage. Now about Evelyn, she does offer more for those that miss it out on her first style, with an intelligence debuff, options for inheritance from her Platinum style and also from her story style, so easy to build. But to Kwai seems better than she actually is. She is passable and skippable because we will get characters that will offer more for farming or more for counter in the future. So better for people that like this style, like the sprite art, and miss it out on Sun and slash attackers, especially Emperor or Rupina, but will not stay too much in the meta. But that's my opinion. What is yours? Please say here in the comments. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please click the like button. It certainly helps the channel grow. And if you want to support the channel, there are links in the description. I hope to see you soon in the next one. Bye.